I'm Jennifer Purcell, and welcome to my podcast, Living with an Invisible Learning Challenge, where we will discuss, discover, and learn more about the challenges and triumphs of those with NLD and other learning challenges. I do have a website for this podcast, and it is called livingwithnld.com. I also have a Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter account for the podcast. They are all under the same name, which is Living with NLD. I also have a YouTube channel for the podcast, which can be found by Googling the title of the podcast, which is Living with an Invisible Learning Challenge. I would like to tell you about a nonprofit that I use for my research for this podcast. It is called the Nbld Project, and I use their blog for my research. They are a nonprofit that is based in New York and is trying to get NBLD back on the DSM, and they provide many resources for people with NBLD on their website. I'll provide you with the website for them in the podcast description. All proceeds from the ads on this podcast will be donated towards the NBLD Project. Please feel free to explore the other topics on the podcast, and hopefully you will learn something new from them. I hope you enjoy today's episodes. Also, the next Facebook chat or meta chat will be on April 16th, which is the third Saturday in April. And this is a safe space for people to talk about their issues with NLD and other learning challenges and be able to support people who are loved ones of NBLDers as well. So if you'd like to come to that, it's at 10:30 specific time zone, and it goes until about 11:30. So please email me or contact me on Living with NLD on Facebook or Instagram. Again, it's specific time zone, so that would be on the West Coast, not the East Coast. And it is from about 10:30-ish to 11:30-ish. And I hope to see you there. All right. Bye. And also, I would like for you to donate to my fundraiser for the Nbld Project. It is a fundraiser for my birthday, and the goal is $500. So far, $100 have been donated. And I also have a fundraiser going on for Ukraine to help with the invasion over there, which I find quite devastating. And something I want you to remember is that if you live in the United States, or at least not in Ukraine, you can walk away from what is happening in Ukraine. But if you live in Ukraine, and I'm sorry for those who are listening to this, my heart goes out to you and what you're going through. But it's in their own backyard. They can't walk away from it. So please help the Ukrainians out in any way you can. Thank you. I will include the fundraisers links in the podcast description. And today I am very excited to announce that BetterHelp is now sponsoring this podcast. I have had 7 years of therapy, so I know it can help change your life if you not only let it, but work on the personal goals that you set with your therapist. Without a healthy mind, being truly happy and at peace is hard. The good news is therapy works. But what is therapy exactly? It's whatever you want it to be. Maybe you're not feeling motivated right now and would like some tools to help. Or maybe you're feeling insecure in relationships at work, not dealing well with stress. Whatever you need, it's time to stop being ashamed of normal human struggles and start feeling better because you deserve to be happy. And now you don't have to worry about finding an in-person therapist near you to help. BetterHelp is customized online therapy that offers video, phone, and even live chat sessions with your therapist, so you don't have to see anyone on camera if you don't want to. It's more affordable than in-person therapy, and you can start communicating with your therapist in under 48 hours. Join the millions of people who are seeing what online therapy is really about. It's always a good time to invest in yourself because you are the greatest asset. And special offering to listeners of Living with an Invisible Learning Challenge. You can get 10% off your first month of professional therapy at betterhelp.com/. I'll put in the link in the podcast description for you. That's BetterHelp, HELEP. Thanks again to BetterHelp for sponsoring this podcast.
Hello, so today's episode will be about NLD and clumsiness. Have you ever fallen, run into something, or broken things many times in your life? Well, since I have NLD, I have done all of those things many times. I have fallen while running, skiing, walking, and surfing. I have broken many dishes and gifts. I have run into screen doors, objects, and forgot how I cut myself. Here's an article titled, "What is Nonverbal Learning Disability?" by Jane Hauser from NESCA. The following quote shares about one of the symptoms areas of NLD and why NBLDers are clumsy. Quote, "Motor integration. Individuals with NLD demonstrate some level of motor integration or coordination difficulties. This may involve fine motor skills, for example, poor handwriting and spacing on the page, difficulty tying shoes and using utensils, etc. Gross motor skills, for example, clumsiness, awkwardness when running, poor hand-eye coordination, etc., or both. Most often, individuals with NLD have appropriate motor strength, but they struggle to appropriately integrate and manage their movements within space and present demands. This may also correspond to difficulties with directionality and finding their ways around, causing them to get lost easily." End quote. This quote does a good job at explaining why NBLDers are clumsy, but it doesn't really paint a picture of what it feels like. For me, I say that because all NBLDers are different from each other. I think about my clumsiness every day and try not to fall over and maybe break my glasses. I've been very lucky that whenever I've fallen, I've gotten right back up with no broken bones, only bruises and pain. I keep thinking that I have guardian angels watching over me. Even though I've been fortunate, it doesn't stop me from imagining the worst. I think the worst fall I did was when I was skiing down a double black, one of the hardest levels of a ski run, with my brother. But I'll try to make this long story short. Basically, I lost my balance while trying to get back up and started sliding down the steep slope. It was icy, so I slid for a long time, but I was going head first down the hill and didn't know how to stop. I lost my skis and poles, which is called a yard sale in skiing. I even yelled my brother's name, Jonathan, because I was scared and didn't know what to do. Then eventually I turned around, so I was facing up the hill instead of down the hill. So I dug into the snow with my ski boots and hands to stop myself from sliding more. I looked up and saw only white, because then I realized, due to having snow in my goggles. So I took them off and saw my brother finishing a turn, and then he sat down next to me and hugged me. Then we saw that the two poles were still up there where I had started to slide. But luckily, two nice and kind snowboarders were behind us and had grabbed my skis for me. My bro had one of his poles and one of mine, so I skied down with them and told the ski patrol what they needed to look for because I knew my brother wouldn't make it back up the mountain before it closed for the day. The next day we went back to Lost and Found and got our poles back. Even though that all happened to me, I continued to ski to this day, and I've also been skydiving. I've also been in 2 car accidents, but I'm not going to repeat those stories. If you want to hear them, go to the first episode about driving, number 11 of year 1. I feel fortunate that even though I'm a little clumsy, I haven't done anything too bad to my body to kill it because I like my life even with all the challenges I have. I hope this episode helps you not feel alone in being clumsy because I know neurotypicals and NBLDers or neurodiverse people experience it to different degrees, of course. Please remember that even if you feel like you're the only one in your family who runs into things, breaks something, or falls often, know that you're not the only one in the world who is clumsy. As I wrap this up, consider this question. What is the worst experience of clumsiness in your life you've had? And how has it changed your life since it happened? As you know, you can answer this question wherever you are listening to this podcast or email it to me. I hope you got something out of this lesson. And bye until next Friday.
And today I am very excited to announce that BetterHelp is now sponsoring this podcast. I have had 7 years of therapy, so I know it can help change your life if you not only let it, but work on the personal goals that you set with your therapist. Without a healthy mind, being truly happy and at peace is hard. The good news is therapy works. But what is therapy exactly? It's whatever you want it to be. Maybe you're not feeling motivated right now and would like some tools to help. Or maybe you're feeling insecure in relationships at work, not dealing well with stress. Whatever you need, it's time to stop being ashamed of normal human struggles and start feeling better because you deserve to be happy. And now you don't have to worry about finding an in person therapist near you to help. BetterHelp is customized online therapy that offers video, phone, and even live chat sessions with your therapist. So you don't have to see anyone on camera if you don't want to. It's more affordable than in person therapy, and you can start communicating with your therapist in under 48 hours. Join the millions of people who are seeing what online therapy is really about. It's always a good time to invest in yourself because you are the greatest asset. And special offering to listeners of Living with an Invisible Learning Challenge. You can get 10% off your first month of professional therapy at betterhelp.com/. I'll put in the link in the podcast description for you. That's BetterHelp, HELEP. Thanks again to BetterHelp for sponsoring this podcast. As I wrap up, there are some things I would like to share with you, my audience. Please know that just because I have a podcast doesn't mean that I'm perfect in every way and don't make mistakes. I make them every day and try to learn from them. I hope that this podcast helps you feel included, not alone, inspired, safe, and encouraged to make your life a little easier for you every day or chance you have the opportunity to. I would like to hear from you, especially if you have topics that you would like to know more about relating to NLD. I know I'm not an expert, but I do know I have the living experience of having it. Also, please email me if you would want to be interviewed on this podcast, or if you need support with something related to NLD. I'm always happy to help in any way I can. I hope you enjoyed today's episode, and I will talk to you next Friday. Bye.